Good afternoon, and welcome everyone to today's 2015 MLS Cup press conference. Before we get started with the formal format, I'm going to welcome up on stage MLS Commissioner Don Garber for special recognition.
Much, Marissa Bell. I'm going to move this thing out of here a little bit. Let me start by welcoming everybody. We've got a formal agenda here today, which is about the game, about the players and their coaches, and all the things that you folks are going to do to report on the game and the build up to the game, and maybe even ask some questions as to where we've been over the last 20 years. But generally, I don't come to this press conference, and I thought I'd start by, though many of you were on the call yesterday, thanking all of our partners in the press corps for their coverage of the league. I could remember years and years ago when we would talk together how we had to get to your sports editors and encourage them to cover this sport, which is representing the future of our country, the future of Canada, and a new demographic that's rising, both young people and Spanish speakers that love our game and really want to get coverage. And here we are today with coverage in just about every format, both here and abroad. And you, the folks on the firing line every single day, being part of this system. So when we sit here today with lots of things to be thankful for after our 20th season and lots of great challenges but opportunity ahead in the years to come, you are one of those constituents that helped bring this league through thick and thin to get us where we are today. So on behalf of all of our owners and all of our players and all of our fans, thank you, and keep up the good work, and more is always better. But before I throw it over to Marissa Bell in the formal program, part of what has been a big part of our history has been that there is one guy who has attended 20 MLS Cups. And he started way back in the days of the NASL, long before I was even dreaming about being in the soccer business, and maybe in some cases where some of you were infants. And Michael has covered the league since our early days in '96, and is here for his 20th, and I'm sure you'll be here for many more. I have no doubt that now that we have a new Soccer Hall of Fame being built down at Toyota Park in Dallas, that at some point soon, Michael, you will be inducted into that Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. So I don't want to leave the festivities without presenting Michael with a gift, a token of our appreciation from not just the league, but all of your folks that you work with every day. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, Commissioner, and congratulations, Michael. All right. We are going to now get started, and we're going to welcome the Columbus crew up to the stage. All right, we welcome the Columbus crew up on stage now. To my farthest left, Kai Kamara. Next to him, Michael Parkhurst, and head coach Greg Berhalter. As we had mentioned before, we're going to do a Q&A, so make sure you raise your hand, and we'll have Kevin and Scott bring the microphone over to you. And we'll actually just get started. So, any questions? Don't all be shy now.
Someone break the ice.
I'm Ashley from Time Warner, and this question is for Michael and Kai. Michael, I know you've been in MLS Cup finals before, and Kai, I know you've been pretty close with quite a few teams. For you guys to be in this position right now competing for an MLS Cup in your home stadium, what's it like?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I think that when you get a little older, you value it just a little bit more. I think that I didn't take it for granted those 3 times that I was in MLS Cup, but at the same time, now it's a little different. It's harder. It's a harder path, now than it was. There's more games in the playoffs. You know, the double leg in the conference final is different from before, and you know, I think all the experiences just make you value it a little bit more, and you know, it's special to be able to play it at home. You know, it's different than, you know, a long time ago, and I like the new format. I really do. You know, obviously I like it even more when it works out in our favor, but no, I think for the atmosphere for the game, it's the way to do it. We expect it to be an awesome atmosphere, really push us, and hopefully we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, basically everything Mikey just said. Really, it's great to say you're playing the MLS Cup final. You show up to the first day of preseason and you want to finish the season off, and this is the best way to finish the season off, the last day of the season. So for us, being in that position is really good, and we've worked really hard from day one, and being able to play at home, it's nothing else I could ask for. Missed out a few times to a few different teams, but it's only better when you get to play in the MLS Cup final with the team that drafted you, so I'm okay with it.
Michael. Just a reminder, please state your name and organization.
Michael Lewis, BigAppleSoccer.com. A follow-up question for Michael concerning the playoffs. Have you ever had difficulty explaining what the playoff concept was to, let's say, new foreign teammates through the years? And talk about the difference between the regular season and your mindset in the playoffs, because one is a marathon, the other is a sprint.
Yeah, I think the foreign players are really aware of the playoff format. You know, they understand it from the get-go. You know, I think that most people growing up, you know, in foreign countries are aware of the playoff format in all U.S. sports. So, you know, it's no different in soccer. When they get over here, they understand like that's how you have to win the big trophy, is through the playoffs. That the regular season sets you up for the postseason. You know, it is different. I think there's a heightened intensity. Every goal, you know, really matters. But you know, we look at the regular season as a process to get us into the playoffs, as a process to make an identity and you know, work as a team to find our form. And it's an ongoing process, and yeah, hopefully it culminates in the playoffs. And you know, fortunately for us this year, it seems like it has, and you know, we're confident of the way we're playing right now.
We'll come here to Doug.
Doug McIntyre from ESPN FC. Greg, a lot's been made of the match you played against the Timbers in September. What did you learn about that team in that game, and how much does that come into play, if at all, on Sunday?
I think it certainly plays a factor in our minds. You know, we've analyzed that game. We looked at their strengths. We looked at what we could have done better. But I think they're two different teams now. And if you see the run that Portland went on since then, you know, they've done a fantastic job. We know it's a good team. If you look at us, I think we've progressed as well. We've had a lot of tough games from then, and we've certainly gotten better.
Thank you. We'll come here to Ben, and then we'll come to you, Jamie.
Ben Couch, MLSsoccer.com. What do you feel has been the biggest development in this group from, you know, day 1, 0-0 to now on the verge of the final?
I think any group has a process that they go through. And, you know, when we started together back in January 2014, we've improved a lot. And I think we're patient with the process, and we want to keep developing. And to be honest, we're not fully developed. You know, we still want to improve. And I think that's, to me, that's the mindset of the players, and that's the strength of the players, is that they always want more, and they're never satisfied. And, you know, when I've witnessed the determination that this group has had, specifically in the last 2 months of the season until now, it's been fascinating. You know, I'm really proud of the guys. I'm really proud of the way they responded, and, you know, have been growing both as a team and on the field.
We'll come here to Jamie.
I'm Jamie Goldberg with the Oregonian. This question's for Kai. Timbers have obviously had a lot of success defensively this season. They had 13 clean sheets. You've had a lot of success offensively. Why do you think the Timbers have been able to do well on defense, and what are you going to have to do to beat them?
I'm not out there training every day, so I really don't know what they do, to have success that they've had during the season defensively. We played them here, scored a goal against them, so I don't think it was, that tough. But we just play our game, Again, we don't know. They have two good center backs. I give them a lot of credit, Barcher and Ridgewell. But at the same time, the way we play, we've scored a lot of goals. A lot of goals on the road, a lot of goals at home. And we just, have to keep playing our game. If we play our game, I know definitely it will show when we're ready. And when it comes to goals, that's nothing, we have to really worry about. And it's not really about me. I've scored a few amount of goals this year, but there's a lot of guys on my team that can score goals. And we've shown that throughout the year. So I'm not worried if I don't score. That's fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie. We're actually going to come over here to Kyle, and then we'll come this way.
Kyle McCarthy, Fox Soccer. Greg, you moved to sign Harrison during the summer as part of your reinforcements. How did he come on your radar? Why did you move for him? And how does he fit into the way you guys like to play and push forward?
Well, Harrison was identified, through our scouting process, and I think he fits in perfectly. I mean, we look for certain qualities in each position, and he fit the qualities we were looking for. So it became an opportunity that we wanted to pursue. I think he's adapted well. He shows the tenacity defensively to handle those 1v1 situations, and offensively, he's relentless. He keeps going forward, and he's able to put a good cross in, and he's very calm and good on the ball. So he's a good fit, and he's worked out well. I think what I'm most impressed with is the way that he's adapted. He's fit seamlessly into this team. He's adapted to the country without skipping a beat, and he's a fantastic guy. So, we're happy to be working with him.
Great, thank you.
Soccer.com. For Michael and Kai, obviously you're here because of what you did on the field, but you guys give a lot of credit to the culture and kind of the changes off the field around here over the last couple of years. How big has that been in getting you guys where you are today?
Yeah, I think that the players, we take a lot of pride in representing Columbus, the city and the club. I think that since Greg and the new staff have come in, they've really changed a lot of things. Not only the style of play and everything on the field, but like you said, off the field, they've made a lot of changes, and Mr. Precourt as well. And players, we recognize that, and we're thankful for that. And you have a lot of respect for those people when they're looking out for your best interests on and off the field, and it makes you want to work that much harder for them. And I think that the more seamless things are off the field, and the more well taken care of you are, you can focus solely on soccer and working hard and getting better on the field. And they've put us in a good position to do that.
Yeah, we have a really good family around here. One of the first things I noticed when I joined this team last year, when they're in the playoffs, was about how committed everybody was, to win the games against New England. It was, and how upset everybody was that the team didn't make it through that round. And when I saw that, for me coming back into the league, it was all about, I just want to win something. And the amount of work that we put in before preseason, the amount of guys that wanted to work hard, and going into preseason to work as hard as we did, tells a lot. There's a lot of guys that everybody, you see a starting lineup, or you see some of like Cedric Mbwati coming up the bench, and a few different guys. Everybody knows we play a role in this team, and everybody knows what we were playing for. And to me, just joining this team, it was the perfect situation. I've been disappointed a few times before in the past, and then focusing on this year was just, getting to this point. And there was nothing less but getting to this point. So I feel like overall as a team, we did really good, work to get here. And personally, my goals was definitely getting to this point and worked hard at it. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Ben Bear, MLS Soccer. Greg, what do you think has been the key for the Timbers and their run to MLS Cup?
I think they always had a good team. It's a team I admire. A lot of quality players, and a dangerous team. I think, they've had a good defensive record all year, and I think as the offense started clicking, they started getting more results. I think as they figured out their identity a bit more, and really clarified that, they've been a very dangerous team. And I've enjoyed watching them, in the playoffs and in the latter stages of the season. So, it's going to be a good game, and I think the fans are going to be entertained. They're going to see high quality soccer, and I think it's exciting for the MLS in general.
Right here, up in the front, Franco, please.
Franco Panizo, SBI Soccer. This one's for Michael. A lot of the talk, rightfully so, is about Kai and the form he's coming into this game. But on the other end, Portland also has a big lone striker that's been scoring a lot of goals in Fernando Adi. How do you go about slowing him down or negating him as much as you can on Sunday?
Yeah, Adi's a fantastic player. He's a handful, a lot like Drogba. He's a post-up player and a big boy. And most strikers are big boys when I compare myself to them, but Adi is even bigger.
Sorry.
So it's going to be a tall task, but we've faced two very, very good strikers so far in the playoffs in Drogba and Wright Phillips. So this is going to be no different. It's going to be a collective effort. Gaston and I are going to man mark him and help each other out, and we're going to need help from our midfielders as he's laying balls off. We know that he's a handful in the box, so it's going to take a lot of effort. Guys blocking crosses and making it easier for us because of course he's going to win his fair share of balls, and hopefully we can keep those outside of the box.
Thank you. We'll come back here to Ben.
Ben Couch, MLSsoccer.com. For Kai and Michael, what was the moment or, maybe a series of moments during this season where you feel like this team pivoted internally and you realized that you had a shot at something bigger?
For me, I can't really just pinpoint a game or a training or a series of games, And again, I would just say, it started, I know these guys, started the season or the season before in January. For me, it started when I came here during those playoffs. And the way that those playoffs ended, the games against New England ended, I just saw it, from the guys. I saw how hungry everybody was, how hungry everybody wanted it more. And wanted to play New England again so bad, and not just them, but knowing the fact that the team was good enough to be in the playoffs, knowing the fact that it's the same amount of players coming back to join the team, and with a few additions in us, and everybody was just hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're focusing just solely on this season and results and things, down the stretch we had two very good away wins in DC where we won 2-1. We really had to dig in at the end, and 2-0 at Toronto. Very good wins that the team really benefited from those strong wins late in the season. It was a good push, and I think since then the confidence has been high.
All right. Any other questions from the crowd? Right here, second row.
Tyler Fisher from Valvo USA. Kai, since counting down the days from Sunday against New York in Leg 2 to Sunday against Portland Timbers, have your nerves grown immensely, or are you just taking it day by day?
I'm not going to lie. I definitely, do think about it every minute. Since the final whistle in New York, and looking forward to Sunday, going to bed, thinking about it, and going to training. When I'm nervous, even in the locker room before games, when I'm nervous, I just dance. The more I dance, the less I get to worry about it. So that's why you guys always see me dancing in the locker room. But, it's a big game. It's a big game, and this the game you want to play in. Doesn't matter how nervous you're going to get, but we know that being at home and, it's our crowd that's going to be behind us. They're going to pump us up, so definitely I'll be ready in the right ways. And, my nerves and everything will turn into, something good when it comes game time.
All right, we'll have one last question right here. Brian?
I guess for Greg and Michael, I was interested in doing something on Higuain. And Greg, I was just curious if when you took over after watching the way he'd played with Columbus, did you ask him to evolve in any way to sort of fit in your system? Or was there anything different that you asked of him in terms of maybe what his natural, number 10 tendencies were to sort of evolve with you? And Michael, I remember talking to you a couple years ago, and you talked about the way he sort of handed the captaincy over to you. I was curious if how he has, whether he's still a leader on the team, whether he still has influence on the team, even though sort of that transition was made. Thanks.
Well, what I would say is, he's not a typical number 10. And I think that's how his role has pivoted slightly, because he's more of a complete player in my mind. He's he's able to transport the ball from the back line to the forward line. His work rate is very good, and we ask him to move all over the field to get the ball, and he's not in one position, which makes him unpredictable for the opponent. So from that standpoint, he's grown immensely, and every coach has their way to play and their ideas of how the players can fit into it. So it was a slightly different role for him, but he's adapted well.
Yeah, Pipa is definitely still a leader on this team. I think that he garners a lot of respect from everybody in our locker room. We all admire who he is as a player and as a person. We lean on him in tough times and to slow the game down for us, to be influential in the attack, much like we do with Kai. But, he always seems to step up when we need him, and we'll need him on Sunday to step up, and I'm sure he will.
Great. We thank the crew. We're actually now going to stage a photo op, so if you guys can just please rise and walk around behind myself in front of the table here, please. And we're also going to welcome the Portland Timbers for the joint photo op. Go ahead, please. All photographers, please sit down. We will have a countdown for everybody. All right. Thank you. All right. As we welcome the Portland Timbers, just a quick reminder, we're going to do a Q&A session just as we did the first portion. Just raise your hands. I'll introduce my far left, Darlington Nagby, Liam Ridgewell, and head coach Caleb Porter. All right. Any questions for the team? Well, go to the back, please.
Paul Kennedy at Soccer America. My question is, I have two questions for you, Caleb. Last year, after not making the playoffs, on the first day of the trading deadline, you guys made a number of moves right away where it seemed like you had an idea of what you wanted to do for this season. It's pretty unusual for MLS where teams tend to make their moves little by little. Can you talk about a little bit about what went into your thinking about that, and what made you feel it was going to work out? And the second thing is, you guys played well a lot of the season, weren't getting goals, but what did you need to do to make sure the confidence of your players stayed high, given the sort of struggles you guys were, converting your chances?
Last year we missed the playoffs by a point, and we felt we were on a good run at the end of the year. Obviously, mid-season we made a few signings. Liam was one of them. Last year, while we had a good run at the end of the year, ultimately fell short because of our defending, we felt. That's a team thing, but also personnel goes into that. We felt in the back line that we were a few pieces away. Obviously added Liam, and our performance was much better second half of the year defensively. But we also felt at the end of the year that we still needed another player to play next to him. And that's why we went after Nat Borchers. Made a tough decision to allow Ricketts to go to Orlando and Adam Kwarsi. So we felt like those were two moves that would allow us to build on our positive defending towards the end of the year, but make us even better this year. Second question was?
Through the season, you were scoring a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is the first 2 years, 13 and 14, we're top 3 in goals scored. And that's always been, I would say, a trademark of our club. Always been a trademark of my teams is we attack, we're aggressive, we get chances. And this year, for whatever reason, we weren't scoring. Maybe that had something to do with us making sure we were going to be good on the defensive side. There were some games, I'll admit, we might have got carried away with being too defensive. But we felt that was an area that needed to be addressed. And yet I think there was somewhat of an anomaly happening because we were leading the league in shots. So our KPIs, the key performance indicators, were saying that we were pretty much trending the same way we were in 13 and 14, but we weren't scoring. So I think there was an anomaly, but ultimately we felt that something needed to change. And we made a decision to go from a point-up triangle in the middle, more of a 4-2-3-1, to a point-down triangle 4-3-3. We moved Darlington in the middle. Darlington's one of our best attacking players, and he wasn't producing. And it's really easy to point the finger at the player and blame him, or you can point the finger at yourself and blame yourself. And we felt a role change would spark him and allow him to be more free. And it made sense at that point in the year to become more aggressive. We needed to win games. And, we decided before the Salt Lake game to make that move. So I think that was a big part of it. Now all of a sudden Adi has 2 players underneath him that he can link with. And then guys got hot. Once you get hot and you score goals and the floodgates open, the goals seem to come. So I think it was part tactical, part just the goals started to come. And I believe in the last 8 games we've scored close to 20 goals. So the great thing about where we're at now is the defending got sorted, and now the goals are coming, and that's probably the reason we're where we're at, is we're a very balanced team. We're a threat to the opponent. We're getting goals from different guys in different ways, and we're a solid defensive team. There was some worry early in the year, can we score enough goals? There was some worry in 2014. Is Portland always going to be a team that gives to get? And what I see in this year's team, 2015, is, it's, for me, the epitome of the evolution. We're a complete team. Balance both sides of the ball, and that's probably, like I said, why we're where we're at.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go here, and then we'll come over to Jeff.
Nick Rosano, MLSsoccer.com. This question's for Caleb and Darlington. You guys have spent a lot of your careers together, first at Akron and now here. Is it kind of surreal at all to be where you are now, like thinking back to where you were in 2007, 2008, you guys, Michael Nanchoff, Ben Zemanski?
You want to start?
You can start.
I think initially, when I took the job, first couple training sessions, first couple games, you look in the locker room, you see D in there. There was a time where I thought I'd never coach some of these guys again or coach against them. So it'd be real easy every game to get caught up in the nostalgia of it. So I really don't. It's a business, and I've got a bunch of guys I've coached on other teams around the league. I quietly root for them unless they're playing us. But it's now for year 3, something I don't think about. But it's a real nice bonus to be able to coach guys again, guys that you have a great relationship with and you've won games with, and you've seen them mature as soccer players and people.
Yeah, I'd say the same. First couple of trainings of the season when Caleb first came, it was a little surreal with all Caleb here and all my good friends. But now it's more natural. It's more of a team, and we don't think about it too much.
Thank you. Jeff.
My question is for Caleb. I know Liam has said that he's ready to go with his calf, but I was wondering if you could give us an update on his injury, and also Adi. He came out of the last game, looked like he took a knock. What's his status?
Yeah, they'll both be ready to go, available.
All right, we'll come here to Jamie.
My question's for Caleb. I was just wondering, you guys are the first Cascadia team to make it this far. How meaningful is it, especially given that those are two of your rivals, to be the first team to get here? And how meaningful would it be to bring the MLS Cup, be the first team to bring the MLS Cup back to the Pacific Northwest?
Well, I think it'd be certainly meaningful to be the first Cascadia team, but obviously winning MLS Cup is meaningful within itself. But I think that just adds an extra bonus and a fuel to the fire, probably with the rivalry, for us to be able to say we're the first Cascadia team to win the Western Conference title, and then obviously the MLS Cup trophy.
Great. Any other questions? We'll start there, and then we'll come to Ben, and then we'll come to Kyle.
Dan Edel, MLSsoccer.com. This is for Darlington. Could you just talk a little bit about your time at Akron when you were going through the draft process with the Timbers, what they were telling you, what you were kind of hoping that would end up, and now that you're here, how rewarding is that?
It was fun. At that time I was 19, and you're just getting to know your coaches and things like that. And when they told me they wanted to draft me, it was exciting, and it's turned out to be everything that I hoped it would be. 5 years later, and I'm in my first championship game, still with the Timbers. So hopefully, it keeps getting better from here.
MLSsoccer.com. This is for Liam and Darlington. But was there a moment off the field, because you talked about the position switch kind of keying the success of the big run? But was there a moment off the field where you guys felt the team clicked as a unit and really started to come together this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably the main click was probably away at Salt Lake. I think we might have backed ourselves into a little bit of a corner this season, and we knew we needed to come up with the goods, certainly in that game. And I think obviously the change in formation, putting D inside, certainly looked like it worked, and we certainly figured it out. And I think from there probably really clicked that we knew really need to start winning games and picking up 3 points to make the playoffs. Like the gaffer said, last year was a big heartache of missing out on the playoffs by a point, and we spoke about all season wanting to make the playoffs, and I think the changing point was certainly win away at Salt Lake, and then going on into the LA game certainly clicked in everyone's confidence, and I think we've gone from strength to strength from there.
Wait, was that also for Darlington, or that was just for Liam? Okay. All right, we'll move on to Kyle. Go ahead.
Thanks. Darlington. Oh, here. Right side.
Far right.
Darlington, you've talked a little bit about how important it was to be in the middle because you're getting more touches on the ball and finding the rhythm of the game. How are you working through that balance with Diego and Diego to make sure that you guys are staying covered and you're solid both defensively and going forward?
I think it just happens naturally. I think Valeri's the more attacking minded out of the three of us, and Charles the more defensive minded out of the three of us. So I'm naturally just in the middle of those two, so it ends up working out.
We'll come back to the far left here.
For Liam, how does the matchup with Kamara change how you and Nat approach things defensively?
I think it brings a very good matchup. Obviously, I think we've had the most clean sheets all season, and then you matched up with a fella that scored the most goals all season. I think we had a very good match against them last time we was down here when we won. And it's something we look forward to. Every single week we come up against a great centre forward. I think is every week someone's asked me, you're playing against Robbie Keane, you're playing against Obafemi Martins, now you're playing against Kamara. The same goes for every week. We want to keep the clean sheet, we want to stop the centre forward from scoring. And it doesn't change from any centre forwards. Someone might be able to jump more than someone else and might be quicker, but the tactics for me and that are always the same, that we want to keep the clean sheet and try and stop them from scoring, and we'll be trying to do that on Sunday.
Franco, and then Paul.
Franco Panizo, SBI Soccer. This one's for Darlington. The last couple of months, obviously, you've gone through a lot here. You get the positional change, find some success, national team call-up. How sweet would it be to cap off these last couple of months with raising the trophy on Sunday?
That's the ultimate goal, so everything good that's happened to me over the past month or so, it's been great, but I think getting the cup would be the ultimate goal and the best feeling. That's what you work towards for when you come in the camp in January.
From the Orlando Sentinel, for Caleb and Darlington, you talked about the position change kind of being the catalyst. When you moved him inside, was there a talk did you tell him, hey, we need you to be more aggressive, we need goals, we need wins, or did you just feel the change itself would do that with what he does best? And Darlington, when you saw that adjustment was happening, was it something that just kind of clicked with you and how you like to play, or did you feel like that was a sign that you needed to be more aggressive?
As a coach, if you can put your pieces together in a way where the players are in their comfort zone, where they're doing things they like to do, things they're good at doing, that's when you really get it right. And so, no, I don't have to tell them to do this or that or to win. That's just a given as a professional. You want to win every game. But I think what's happened, the biggest thing with Darlington is he seems really comfortable playing the way he wants to play, which is getting on the ball. It's that simple. People ask me what Darlington's best at, and what he's best at is keeping the ball, and he loves getting on the ball. When he plays wide, we kind of played him in a role where he floated inside, played overloaded a lot, and he plays well in that role. But there's not as many attacking points that he can work from and to get the ball. And I think he felt at times, that position held him in, and that he had too much defensive responsibility in one channel. And when you always have to move in and then back to one place, it makes it difficult to be as free as you like. But there's always the balance that you have to think about when putting your team on the field. Like you said, you have to win games. And so if it was as easy as just throwing guys in the field and letting them be free to just do what they want, then coaches would do that all the time. But it doesn't always work to win games, and that's why we never made the move. We also had some other players that we were building around. When you put a system together, it's not just one guy. It's everybody together. And we had Char and Will Johnson. Will was a two-time MLS All-Star and was a key player for us. In 2013, he breaks his leg, and we knew he was coming back, and we stuck with the same system, 4-2-3-1, in his absence. But we finally decided, let's move Darlington in. We might get more out of him. Maybe we're not quite as good defensively, but we'll keep the ball more and we'll attack more. And That's what's happened. And funny enough, he's done extremely well defensively, better than I thought he would, which is great. And I think a big part of that is these guys want to keep that middle together, and so they know, Darlington knows to stay there, he's got to defend, and he's got to help Chara. And not only has it helped Darlington play better, it's helped Chara play better, because his role's more defined, where he's kind of the lone guy that knows he has to sit in and keep his position and win balls. And I think he's playing a bit more with his chest out, like he's the man, and playing that that true six. And Valeri's come to life as well, because he can float a little higher and work in between the layers. He's a final third guy. He can unlock defenses with his final passing. He's a goal scorer. And so it works, those three. And it works because they all complement each other, and they work together. And they all put enough attacking and enough defending in. And I think it's a real strength of our team, those three.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with the last question in the back, please.
Joe Donlin with KGW TV in Portland. For the two players, I'm curious, do you approach this game or try to with your preparation as if it's just another game, or do you acknowledge the fact that this is perhaps one of the biggest games you'll play in? And for Coach Porter, looking at this run you've been on, 12 penalties against Kansas City, balls bouncing off of goalposts, and Nat Borcher's save at the end of the game in Dallas. Clearly you believe in hard work, but do you believe in destiny?
Do I believe in destiny? That's a deep question you're asking here. I've thought about this a lot. I think coaches look for destiny. They look for the story, the poetry of how things play out, where their careers go, how they develop, who they coach, where they come back to. So I think coaches look for that a little bit. But I also believe that, funny enough, things kind of do go in a circle. The ball's around to go around, and things do have a funny way of coming around. And but I think it's part coaches look for that destiny part. I think when you put the work in, then you earn it. And maybe not short term, but long term. And you look at my teams, my career. I mean, I've had a lot of failure, I've suffered, but I've also succeeded. So I've had the ups and downs that you would expect. And I think if you asked Liam, he'd say the same thing in his career. And if you asked Darlington, he'd say the same thing. So to make it in this business, to succeed, you're going to have to suffer some. But if you're able to hang on and go through the suffering, then you'll survive. And I think that says everything about our team. We've suffered a little bit. We've had pressure. It was fair. We brought it on ourselves. We didn't get results in some games. We set a standard in 2013, and somewhat in that 14, we were, at the mercy of that standard, and we fell short. It was still a good year. It wasn't successful. We didn't make the playoffs, but we had 49 points. It wasn't like we were a bad team all of a sudden, but we fell short. I think it was a good wake-up call. And, people ask me this year, what makes your team good? I think it's the things I mentioned. We're balanced. But the biggest thing is I think we're humble. We go into games, and this is a humble group of guys, confident, but not naive. And we're humble. We look at ourselves. We know our weaknesses, our strengths. We know the opponent's strengths, weaknesses. And we're very tactically flexible. And we can do different things to win games, and these guys, buy into that. Like I said, they're not naive, and that's why we look very businesslike, because there's none of this cocky talk, this arrogant talk. I got a great group of guys that are really humble. You look at the best 11, we don't have a guy in the best 11. You look at the all-star team, we don't have a guy on the all-star team. But then when you go through every single position, we got a good player in every position. When you go through every single position, I'm not sure I trade any guy in every position. And so I think it's the team, and it's our approach and our complete, both sides of the ball way of playing that make us good.
Liam, I'm curious, do you believe in destiny?
No, I don't. I believe in hard work. I think, touch on it, like you said, I think this season it's been about hard work. The side has worked hard for each other, like the gaffer said, in every position everyone's worked hard together and stuck to the job, and that's been a good thing all year about us. There's no one been off on their own that's had their own agenda about doing anything. We've all wanted to do what each other wanted to do and make the playoffs and now go and win it as well. So, touching on your question saying, is it a big game? Yeah, of course it's a big game. We don't sit up here every week talking to this many media every week, that's for sure. It's normally about 4 or 5 people at the training ground. So I think, yeah, it's a big game, but, the build-up, the way we'll go about the game will be exactly the same as any other game. You start thinking it's a big final and, you'll let yourself get away from yourself and suddenly it will pass you by without a blink of an eye. So, we'll just go into it looking to stay calm, looking to win the game and carry on like it's a normal game, and then we'll celebrate like it's a big game after it.
All right, with that, we thank the Portland Timbers for participating. We thank all of you also. And for those watching on the live stream, a reminder, MLS Cup this Sunday, December 6th, 4 p.m., ESPN, Unimas, RDS, TSN, and to more than 140 countries around the world. Thank you for participating.